Yo everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a review as well as a demo of the brand new foundation by Charlotte Tilbury, which came out at the beginning of January, which is called Charlotte's Beautiful Skin Foundation. I'm so sorry that it took me so long to do a review on this. Reason being, the shade range is I'm going to start off by saying it's a joke. Charlotte Tilbury, and I've said this in the past, has got absolutely no idea how to cater towards medium, brown and black skin tones. Now, the shade that I have bought is 6 Neutral. I'm not neutral. I'm warm toned and I have got golden yellow undertones. Now, altogether this comes in 30 shades, which is less amount of shades than her Airbrush foundation. Now, when the Airbrush foundation initially came out about 2 to 3 years ago, I was in the shade 7 Warm. Since then, my skincare routine has changed. I use sunscreen and we are obviously in winter at the moment. I am incredibly pale. Look at the hands. The hands are just pale. And so I thought, okay, so I'm obviously not going to be 7 Warm anymore. Let's go with 6 Warm. There is no 6 Warm. Let's go with 5 Warm. There is no 5 Warm. So I had to end up getting 6 Neutral. Now, on her website, there's like a shade matcher where you can take photos of your face in natural light, and they're supposed to use their AI technology to detect what the undertone of your skin is and to match you to the closest one. It matched me to 8 Warm. And then also on her website, you can input the foundations that you currently use and it will give you the next best match. It's matching me to 4 Warm. So 4 Warm and 8 Warm. What? Those are completely 2 different colours, loads of shades in between. So which one am I? That's why I found it so hard to find a shade that matched me. And in the end, I settled for 6 Neutral, just based on watching swatches and reviews and that sort of thing online. And this is, I would say, the best match for me because I have no other option. So this retails at £34, which is a standard kind of price for Charlotte Tilbury. Charlotte Tilbury is not an affordable brand by any means. It's definitely more on the higher end of the spectrum in terms of pricing, and this is 30ml, which is kind of the standard amount for most foundations. I'm just reading randomly off some website. It says skincare infused foundation to improve the look of skin with each application. A 16-hour natural glow lightweight foundation with buildable medium coverage to hydrate, smooth, blur pores and brighten skin. Helps to prevent pollutant particles from penetrating the skin, strengthening its skin barrier and improving skin quality over time. So that's what its general major claims are. Now, I've been using this for about 3 weeks now, so I've used it in all manner of temperatures, freezing cold outside, high heat indoors because of the fact that it is so cold. So I have worn it when my face gets really hot, as well as very cold. I've also worn it on evenings out. First off, the packaging. I've always said that Charlotte Tilbury's packaging is really cheap, and I stand by that. This packaging, so it comes in just a standard tube and then you've got a pump on the top. The packaging is so cheap, and I don't understand why Charlotte Tilbury, who's got so much money, bear in mind, I would personally say as a marketer, definitely, because that's what I am, that's what I do for a living, Charlotte Tilbury's marketing budget is absolutely massive. If you look at where they advertise on primetime TV at the most viewed hours. They advertised on the Burj in Dubai for New Year's. When Harry and Meghan did their Oprah interview last year and there were ad breaks, Charlotte Tilbury had their adverts in those ad breaks. That would have cost a lot of money. If you go anywhere in London, Charlotte Tilbury stores are in the prime locations. They have got the money and the funds to be able to get decent quality packaging. Now, the reason why I've got an issue with this one, and bear in mind I've shown before the Charlotte Tilbury lip balm thing, lipsticks, whatever, and I said how cheap and naff they were. This is no different. So when you pump it, it comes out in squirts. It doesn't come out clean. So what happens is that if you happen to press it, it can shoot across the room. That's happened to me a couple of times. It doesn't come out as like a clean pump. It comes out in bits and pieces. And then on top of that, you've just got the cheap plastic packaging, and then you've got the cheap box with the cheap looking. I mean, how many things have you written all over this? I mean, what's with the information overload? I really think it's unnecessary. I always get annoyed when it comes to Charlotte Tilbury. I just don't find their quality to match their prices at all. And we as idiotic consumers are happy to pay these prices despite the fact that we're blatantly being ripped off. Let's talk about the foundation itself. I'm obviously wearing it on my face right now. My makeup is completely finished And in today's demo, what you will see me doing is applying 2 very large pumps because I've got textured skin, I've got blemishes on my skin, and I'm using the Real Techniques buffing brush. 1 large pump to cover one side of my face. As you can see, it glides across the skin beautifully. It really sinks into the skin almost like skincare does. And there's a little bit of streakiness depending on what kind of tool that you use. I generally don't actually use this brush. I normally use a buffing brush, and because of the fact that it is quite emollient in texture, because of the fact that it contains quite a lot of skincare, you do have to make sure that you blend it in nicely. However, it moves across the skin really well. It doesn't snag or pull on the skin at all, and it's actually a really nice experience applying it to the skin. But 1 large pump can cover an entire one side of my face, and as you can see, I've got a lot of redness on the other side because I was actually very hot. When I get very hot, my cheeks go red. And as you can see, the redness is almost completely covered by applying 1 pump onto the side of my face. And then I've gone in and covered the rest of my face with the foundation. And as you can see, it doesn't take that long to blend onto the face. It doesn't start to dry immediately either because of the fact that it's got such an emollient texture, and it looks lovely and it looks fresh. It has got a very nice light to medium buildable coverage. And then obviously in my areas which are slightly more problematic, which is my cheek areas, I've gone in with a tiny little bit more amount of product just to cover those areas, just to give myself a little bit of extra coverage. As you can see, my skin looks glowing. It looks lovely. It doesn't look greasy or anything because this is supposed to look like your skin but better. So let's read what they've said on their website. Darlings, my new beautiful skin foundation gives everyone skin that looks beautifully hydrated, plumper, smoother and brighter. And for that, I definitely have to agree. My skin feels hydrated. It doesn't feel dry. It doesn't feel like it constricts my skin at any point. I can barely even feel it on my skin. It's completely undetectable. This medium coverage hydrating foundation has been expertly formulated with skincare ingredients to combine instant glow and buildable coverage with long-term skincare benefits. And I definitely have to agree with that. You do really get a nice glow with this foundation. Not dewy, glowy. They are dewy is kind of bordering on that glazed donut kind of look, which I'm not a fan of. It looks great in photos, but in reality, as soon as your body temperature starts to heat up, you look like a greasy mess. With brightening rose complex and hydrating hyaluronic acid to improve the look of skin with each wear, my new beautiful skin foundation is the secret to your best healthy looking skin day every day. It says my shade 6 Neutral is perfect for those that have got fair medium skin with neutral undertones. And it says neutral undertone means you have both warm and cool undertones and you tan slightly in the sun. I don't have cool undertones, I've got warm undertones, and I don't tan slightly in the sun, I tan a lot in the sun. All it takes is 10 minutes for me to be outside and I can change colours immediately. And then it's got these random clinical results that always get on my nerves. 285% of people, I mean, that's such a random number, say they looked beautifully radiant, beautifully hydrated, but up to 166%. Why do people come up with this plus 100% to make their claims more viable? I don't understand. A lot of the time, I just find it to be a lot of marketing gumph. It says, what makes it magic? Hydrates. Hyaluronic acid floods the skin with moisture and revitalizes the skin's outer visible layers. Smooths Bix Active, which is something they've made up, helps to decrease the appearance of oiliness and visibly reduce the look of shine and pores. Brightens. Rose Complex targets all the signs of stress in the skin, including dullness, dryness, pigmentation, and dark circles of skin that looks brighter, smoother, hydrated, and more youthful. Evens. Hyalurose Smooth. That's again something they've made up. Targets uneven texture, dryness, and dullness, loss in moisture, blah blah blah. Coconut extract improves the skin's ability to hold water by helping strengthen the skin barrier. Some other made up stuff. Long lasting with 16-hour wear. I don't know about that. I mean, matte foundations you can definitely get to last a long time on your skin, but the only way you're going to be able to get this to last 16 hours is if you do what I do and set it. So I set my face today with this powder. This is just the limited edition cover for the Lunar New Year, the Chinese New Year. Charlotte Tilbury's Airbrush Flawless Finish powder. My shade is in number 2. And this is what I've used to set it. Now, if you don't set it, of course, you get a lovely, beautiful glow to the skin. But bear in mind, as soon as the natural oils in your skin start to come out, you are going to start to get the foundation breaking up around your nose area, your chin area. Because that's what happened to me when I went in with nothing on my skin. I didn't set it. When I do reviews, I like to try and use things in ways that I normally wouldn't, and then ways that I would normally do. And this one, I would 100% say you do have to set it. It's got so many skincare ingredients in it, and like I said, it's got a slightly emollient kind of texture. So even though it looks, when you first apply it, nice and fresh and glowy, within the next few hours it'll start to look shiny and move around. So please set it. So it does not last 16 hours at all. However, I do have to say that I have worn this for 12 hours plus in a working day, but then I have set it and it's lasted perfectly fine. After about 12 hours, I have noticed breaking up and separation around my nose area. I've got combination skin, which means I've got an oily-ish T-zone, and then I've noticed separation around my chin area as well. However, for a foundation which has got that kind of glowy claim, I actually find that it performs a lot better than other foundations. Now, this is the thing that slightly annoys me, right? They said it's got a neutralized base. Clear color pigment formula and molecule complex in all 30 shades mean they stretch wide across all skin tones, skin undertones and skin types. No, we're not doing that whole stretchable shade thing again. If you came out with 30 shades, mate, you may as well have come out with a full range like you did with the Airbrush foundation. What's the point in coming out with such a large amount and then telling people, well, actually, this one shade will work well with loads of people? The only time that will do that is if you go in with a very, 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 very light hand. And then if you're going to do that, I may as well say to you guys, just use tinted moisturizer. Why are you going out of your way to wear a foundation where you've got barely any kind of coverage? Use a BB cream, use a tinted moisturizer. Those actually perform a lot better on the face than light coverage foundations, and that's in my opinion, obviously. So as you guys can see, yeah, fine, I can just about get away with wearing it. Just when it comes to summer, definitely not. As it is, and I know a lot of brown skin people are like this as well, and deeper skin tone people, you have got a darker forehead. I've got a slightly darker forehead than the rest of my face. So I don't know if you guys noticed that when I was applying it to my face, I didn't apply any extra to my forehead. I just used the remainder of what was on the brush to just even out that area so it matched. And then I used contour to actually contour around my hairline, because it was very obvious to me where it was slightly lighter than the rest of my face. If I go like this, you can see there isn't any kind of lines or anything that makes it obvious that it is not quite the right undertone for me. I've managed to make it work, but I don't want to do that. I would have preferred for you to have come out with 6 warm, so then I could have used a warm shade. Why am I being forced to use a neutral shade, knowing full well nothing else will work for me? Now, in terms of my own experience of using this, I actually think it's a pretty good foundation. I'm genuinely surprised at how this performed. When I was looking up and watching reviews that people had put up when I was trying to figure out what my own shade was, quite a lot of people said that it showed up texture. And then I looked at their face and I was like, you ain't got no texture. This, what I have got, is called textured skin. I really wish people would be able to differentiate the difference between textured skin and 1 or 2 scars. You know, they're very, very different. I'm an expert when it comes to textured skin. You can take my word for it. These are scars, pitted scars that I got as a result of acne as a teenager. And if I'm telling you that this blurs pores, and if I'm telling you this blurs texture, take my word for it over other people's. They haven't got any texture. In their head they've got texture, but they really don't. You've got 1 or 2 marks and you want to call that textured skin. That it. This all over my cheeks, in a lot of places is called texture. And this blurs the texture beautifully. I think that this is a lovely foundation for loads of people that want that slightly glowy tint to their skin, but don't want to go overboard and look greasy throughout the day as well. It doesn't emphasize any dryness on the face, and at the moment, because I'm using AHA acids, I've got a lot of dryness around the edges of my nose where the essence itself tends to collect when I am rubbing it all over my face. And any dryness I've got, because the skin is peeling off as it shows new skin underneath, this does not accentuate that texture. If anything, it kind of melds into it and blends it into my skin. That is pretty much invisible, and I love that about this. This is also very nicely buildable. You can build it up very, very gently, very, very slowly, and then have it to the kind of coverage that you want it to have. I would not suggest piling on too much, but the amount that I applied should be enough for the majority of you. I can still see my natural skin underneath, but not too much. I can't see the redness under my cheeks now. This is just blusher, and my beauty spot, which is right there, is actually covered quite well. I can still just about see it, but not too much. So this actually works very nicely as a medium coverage foundation. I don't find that it makes me look aged. I don't find that it accentuates anything that it shouldn't. It makes my skin look like itself, but a lot better. I'm genuinely very happy with this. The only thing that I'm unhappy with is the shade range. And if I forget about the shade range, I can give this a 9 out of 10. And the only reason I give this a 9 and not a 10 is because of its claim of 16-hour wear, which I just don't find. After 16 hours, it has completely broken down, moved across my face, slid around, doesn't look great. It is transferable. Yes, it does come off onto your face covering and mask as well. Obviously, if you have powdered it down, that will happen a lot less. And I've also set my face as well with this Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray by Charlotte Tilbury, and I always set my foundation nowadays. And if you do that, it will just about make it to 16 hours, but bear in mind it will start to look a little bit funny. Now, even though it does start to separate, it doesn't get patchy, which is great because there's nothing worse than having blotchy looking skin at the end of the night. Now, in terms of the shade range, which I have to go back to again, and their marketing, I mean, you're using Kate Lily White Moss, who I have seen in person many times. Don't forget, I live in London. She's white. Why is she advertising 8 Warm? Why? Are you trying to tell me you could not find a single brown or South Asian person to sell the shade 8 Warm, that you had to use a perma-tanned, super airbrushed Kate Moss, who's almost 50 years old? Not that I'm hating on her for her age, but the airbrushing that Charlotte Tilbury does is actually, I swear it's not even allowed under the rules of the ASA in the UK, which is the Advertising Standards Authority. As far as I'm aware, you're supposed to declare every time you use any kind of editing or airbrushing or Photoshop and that sort of thing. And looking at Kate Moss, trust me, I've seen her in person. Now, Kate Moss is almost 50 years old. I've seen her in person, then cigarettes that she's been smoking her entire life did not do her any favours, as well as the fact that she has got very, very, very pale skin. You have airbrushed her to within an inch of her life, and I just think it's very irresponsible of a brand with such a large reach to continue to promote these kind of fake beauty ideals to the rest of the world. Like I said, Kate Moss is white. Why is she promoting 8 Warm? I am 6 neutral. Are you really trying to tell me that Kate Moss is darker than me? I'm South Asian. I'm half Pakistani and half Indian. And even though I'm not super deep toned, I am still clearly brown. I am still clearly Asian. It's very, very disappointing that nobody is calling Charlotte Tilbury out on this, and I'm kind of bored of it. I am bored of it. So anyway, sorry, I just had to finish that off with a little bit of a rant, but if no one else is going to say it, I will happily say it. I just think it's sad that in this day and age that brands are still out there, still airbrushing faces, still putting fake skin colours on models rather than using proper representation. This is 2022, people. Why are we still using perma-tanned models from the 90s who clearly don't look anything like that in person to promote their makeup? Like, you couldn't find anybody else? Yes, you could. It's just called laziness. And it's also a erasure of the South Asian diaspora at the end of the day. We live here. Come on, Charlotte Tilbury is a British brand. There are plenty of British Asian women, brown-toned women out there you could have used, but no, you decided to use Kate Moss because of her name and for no other reason, which is so disappointing. And I just have to say, in terms of all the skincare claims, I really have no opinion on any of those. I mean, I've said it before, I'm really tired of all these makeup brands coming out with all this skincare stuff. I have skincare, I use my skincare, everybody will use their skincare, then put their makeup on top. I don't need skincare on top of skincare. I just want my makeup to do its job, make me look beautiful. So anyway, so that's it for my review of the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation. Like I said, okay, I know I came across as slightly negative, but that is because of the shade range more than anything else. The product itself, 9 out of 10. Excellent product. I'm very happy with this. I probably won't use this in the summer. I probably won't even buy it in the summer because I won't be able to use any of the shades. And in all honesty, I think it's good that this did come out in the winter, because when it comes to the summertime and it's a lot more hot outside, this is not going to last as long as it has done in the winter. So this is definitely a winter foundation for me, but not something that I would recommend for people that have got combination to oily skin to use in the summer. So that's it for my review. Hope you guys are wonderful and great, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.